And Korean kids eat a lot, you know. And why? Because they have enough money to buy it. And it's somewhat filling, actually. You know, I hated it at the beginning. I started to like it just for a little bit, and then I started hating it again. So, but the broth is actually okay. I don't know. You guys should try it just to see maybe once. It's not as bad as all that other stuff I said I hated. So, but odeng costs about 100 won. Sometimes it's as expensive as 200 or 300 won. Right? So it's pretty cheap. You know, you could eat 4 or 5, and you don't need to eat something for a while. But here's a really large number, of course, that if you actually tell your kids, you don't have to say it right off the bat, but they get the picture after a while. You say, what if that ajumma, what if that old lady or the middle-aged lady basically charge you 100 won? They're like, yeah, I'll eat plenty. And you say, well, what if they charge you 500 won? They go, I'll think about it, matters how hungry I am. What if they started charging 2,000 won? Then they're, no. How about 5,000 won? How about 10? How about 50? How about 100,000 won for that odeng? They go, oh my God, no! You know, it's outraged that they can be charged so much for odeng because they get their value in whatever they buy, right? Well, I tell them, guess what? Your grandparents used to think this about cola. You know, basically the convenience store, it's 700 or 900 won now for this little tiny 5-ounce whatever it is, right? How much did it cost 10 years ago?
10 won.
Yeah, 10 won, 50 won. Now it's 900 won. You know, the older generation, oh my gosh, 900 won! You know, that's how they feel, just as fast as maybe a Korean child might feel about this in terms of their odeng, right? And so moving forward, as prices increase and as things increase, unless Korea has those natural resources, which I kind of mentioned earlier, what are the two, or what are some things that Korea is known for as far as natural resources? What's that? Kimchi. And?
Ginseng.
Ginseng. Any others?
Crab.
Crab?
Yeah, the stone crab.
Maybe.
Taekwondo.
Taekwondo? Is that a product?
Yeah.
It's a service? Maybe. It's a service. You know? Do they patent it? Can they patent it?
Cell phones.
Cell phones? They can patent those for so many years, but guess what? People can copy it just soon thereafter. Right? Yeah, the really good cell phones. They're number 1 or 2 or 3 in the world in terms of LCD monitors, those flat screen monitors, cell phones.
The port is strong.
What's that?
Their port is strong.
Their port?
I don't know how well.
It's a great location, but definitely Busan is awesome in terms of the location, so that's really strong. Some things will continue to be as strong as they are, but certain things you can't fight basically real world things. You know, I mean, I don't know how to even describe just real world aspects in life. I mean, it's just, you can't fight the fact that people are going to copy your technology. They want to be so creative, and they're doing it. But at the same time, actually there's been lots and lots of cases where the Chinese actually came over and actually stole the technology. A good example is this. You guys, you probably don't know, but have you ever heard of SsangYong? SsangYong, it's a car maker here.
Oh, I heard about it.
Heard about it? Can you tell me a little bit?
I think that they made like big SUVs, and then the Chinese just wanted the technology. So the Chinese bought 49% of the company, and now the company is like in trouble, and they just stripped it for the technology. So they're not selling it too well, and they want to like just fire everybody and lay it off. But the Korean Union is trying to get like it down to just cut the hours in half. And they have like 51, so it's a power struggle. But they sink the car company to get the technology.
Exactly. It was kind of interesting, and yeah, there's a lot of Koreans who are outraged right now. But the fact of the matter is they can buy it any time they want, and then as you buy a company, basically you buy the rights to whatever they have, right? So you can't just protect those rights per se. And so it's interesting. That was kind of a way for China to get into the automobile industry, and now they may compete moving forward. So what can we help the Koreans potentially keep, or what can we help them survive with? Any ideas? Can we teach them creativity? Yes. Somewhat we can. Yeah, the classroom they actually do is actually a little bit different sometimes. What else?
Well, I just think that English alone is a survival tool, because then they can like trade with other companies or other countries. They can use these creative ideas in a more universal environment. Whereas right now, a lot of the products are staying in Korea,
Exactly.
except for the LG TVs,
Exactly.
you know, the phones and stuff.
Well, regardless of what it will end up being in 10 years or 50 years or 100 years, at least they can keep in touch. At least they can pay attention to what's going on. At least they can read the internet websites that are in English. Whether or not it changes Chinese, well, I'm sure they'll adapt to that. But until, or whatever it ends up becoming, they need the ability to at least pay attention to it, right? A lot of the technology, to a certain degree, doesn't come from Korea. I mean, SsangYong actually bought or actually took the Mercedes engine and put it into their vehicle. They actually went over and they did ironically the same thing the Chinese did to them. Right? But at the same time, if they want to stay competitive or survive, they need to have this English. They need it more than you know. So that's one of the big reasons why you are able to basically make more of an impact in your time here, whether it be 1 year, whether it be 2 or more. You truly, beyond all of this, are doing things that help them stay empowered, help them survive. And this little E was kind of a nice addition because SE. But to be frank, if you're empowering them, you're actually helping them excel. Right? I mean, who's the richest Korean in Korea? Do you guys have any idea?
The president of Hyundai.
Close, another neighbor.
Lotte.
Close.
No, it's
One more.
Samsung.
Samsung. Lee Gun-hee. He's the richest person in Korea, or he was. I don't know where he's at now. But his economic prowess or whatever was like 1.3 billion. I mean, any of us would trade, shoes with him.
Is
But
that dollars or more?
$billion. So that's like trillion.
So he's Oprah.
That
So he's like Oprah.
sort of. Yeah. He's like Oprah, right? He's just like Oprah. But at the same time, who's the richest person in the United States?
Warren Buffett.
It used to be Warren Buffett. It's back to Bill Gates with the economic situation right now. I don't know where he's at. It's like 50 billion or something like that. Somewhere. 30, 40 billion, 50, somewhere up there. Yeah.
I need that much money.
Why? I don't know if he knows why either. He doesn't really probably question it. I bet you he's probably just like,
Let's go.
that's nice.
That's great.
I heard he cuts his own hair still.
Probably does.
Looks like it.
Probably does. When you get to that level, who knows? But would you trade your life for Bill Gates?
No.
With the Koreans?
Yeah.
But even though they would like to, they can't. Many of them are trying, but they can't. Because they don't have that ability to basically market to make more, 36 times more. So they cannot excel per se. They can individually do great things like win world skating championships, or they can become, the UN head, as individuals, and they do that pretty well. But as a country, they will fail to do this if they do not work together and also work together in English fields and whatnot. And basically, I would argue that they cannot excel, or they'll fail to excel. They may max out around 13 for maybe the end of civilization. We don't know. Goldman Sachs said this would be the richest per capita country in 50 years. That was 2 years ago. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Whether or not that's a goal of yours to make them, all Bill Gates, I'm not arguing you should. But it does give them those three, basically, powers or abilities. Okay. So I just want to tell you, you guys are doing all this, but in actuality, you're doing much more. Seriously. And those kids, they smile, and then later on, maybe if they keep in touch with you, you may be amazed at what they become. Seriously. I keep in touch with a few of my students, and I'm really proud of them. And I think I'm really happy at what they're able to do. These are some of the greatest kids I've ever actually worked with in my life. So I'm very, very pleased and happy to actually spend time with them. They're cool. And I hope you guys have the same good experiences. And I hope that we can be a resource always to help you do as much as you can in the classroom and literally have some of the best years of your life. If it's one, that's great. If it's more, I'm even happier. That's basically it. So thank you very much for your time. There is pizza, so we're going to have some pizza here, and then after that you guys can do whatever you want. Well, you can work if you like.